We don't know. Yes, we are live. Fuck.
We are live. Excellent.
Hello, everybody. It's 9 o'clock, so we thought we'd go live. It's 9 o'clock my time. It's about 4 o'clock for the most of the rest of the world. But I am here with the wonderful Nathan A. Thompson, who, as those of you that know, is the writer of Challenger's Call and Soulship, as he has along the bottom. But they are fucking magnificent series. So they're one of my all-time favorite series. Well, two of my all-time favorite series, let's be honest. But it's awesome just to talk to you, mate, to have you on and to talk bollocks to you while I get drunk.
Well, thank you for having me. And thank you for the shout-outs. Shouts out. Shout-outs or shouts out? I'll let my editor figure that out.
Yeah, it's their problem. Honestly, Challenger's Call, I mean, I'll just start straight away with that, because that's just a fantastic series. I mean, I love Soulship, I do, but Challenger's Call, it really is from the very start. You can feel the way that he's getting constantly. For anybody that hasn't read it, read them. Seriously, there's just no two ways about it.
Please, thank you. Yes,
please. That way. Fuck. It's always in reverse. Fuck it. It's one of those series that you can see the way that things are going in some respects. You know that they're all against him, but when you start to see what's going on and you start to really root for this guy. And it makes so much sense. Hello, Brian, mate.
Hello.
And you get to that point where you're like, fucking get in there, Wes. Just give him a good one. Just you're airing wanking arm, overusing your career to injury. Like, you know how it is, man. One hand with the magnifying glass and one with the tweezers. So, first thing I think is Farscape. Actually,
Farscape. Oh, I saw that series. Yeah, my dad loved that series growing up. Think Star Wars meets Farscape meets Dead Space, and you've got Soulship.
That's a really good description. Yeah. Ship biscuit. Sorry, so normally we have two dogs, we have two cats, everybody knows at the moment. But for some reason tonight, one of the dogs has decided to try and annoy the cat. Buddy, get off the goddamn table. And of course, tonight is the night that my wife Chrissy is around at her mum's. So normally I would just send this little sod up to sit with her. Buddy, no. You can tell he's very well trained. Get off. Oh, fucking dog. But anyway, so let's talk about your books. I mean, so
sure.
What inspired you for Challenger's Call?
Sorry, I think I spoke as you spoke. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm saying Challenger's Call. What led to it? Why did you start reading? How long ago?
Gosh.
About it?
Honestly, see, the thing is, I actually remember it feels a lot like this feels weird because sometimes, like, I remember when you were writing your first couple of books, and that was before you got published and started knocking them out of your park. And I started hearing all this praise about, man, Jez is so awesome. I was like, oh, I know. Oh, yeah. But the questions you asked and went about it kind of felt familiar. It was seeing as like, so this is what's like on the other end. Because I had started reading books in the genre, and I think it was about 2016, 17, 16 when I started reading them. And the genre still felt really young at that time. Yeah. I'm sure there were like older examples, but you know, you had The Land, you had all the other books about Delvers, all the Russian authors, The Way of the Shaman. And what got me into it was a series called Realm of Archon by Cajiao.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started reading other books, both Russian and American. And I had tried to write before then. I'd just been working a little fantasy series and stuff, but the way that you could track your growth really appealed to me. And a game-led series, and the idea of going to another world where you could have your own kind of fresh start. Mm-hmm. I also thought it was neat, and I was thinking, well, how could I write an adventure like this? This sounds so fun and so cool. And there was this series called Wrath of the Dragon. And it was a 3-part series of basically how a guy that was injured, but his body worked right in the video games. and it was kind of they were experimenting with transplanting consciousness or something, and I think I just kind of pieced together and I thought, well, what would it be like if I took a story where you had a character that people you really rooted for and at the same time had no opportunities, but suddenly got a new chance, which I don't know. I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Sometimes I can relate to that. It's like, you know, some days life just kind of sucks and you want another crack at it, a fresh crack at it, or something that feels a little bit more fair or exciting or whatever, I guess. And
Definitely.
yeah, and that's where it kind of grew from there. And I guess kind of exploring that kind of helped me. It's weird how fantasy and our imagination can also help us explore real life at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's one of those things that I'll just quickly say, guys, if you sort of start to put stuff in that's showing up as Facebook user along the bottom, it's because you haven't given StreamYard permission to actually access your details. So we're going through an app called StreamYard onto Facebook. So if you've just joined us, please do allow it permission to see what you're doing, because otherwise all we get is Facebook user, and it's like, hello again. Hello, Facebook.
You can trust it.
You are. You can trust it about as much as you trust anything. I mean, we all trust Amazon.
Of course, absolutely, yes.
Our glorious overlord.
Oh, indeed.
Let's not start that one. Let's not start that one. But no, I mean, hey, see, Craig.
Hey, we can see you. Yeah. Hey, Craig.
It's one of those series challenges called, because of the way that you've set it up, that his world, his life here, and then his life there, and when it's starting to go through, and you start to see sort of things that, especially with the testifiers further on, I won't obviously give too many details, but the way that they see, this, the way that normal people here are reacting to Wes, and he's trying to explain it, and they're like, but surely this means, and the way that the girls are sort of going, but surely because of this, and it's like, yeah, you're fucking right. It does make so much more sense. Oh, I can't really say much without giving away like major plot points, but goddamn read Challenger's Call, right? Read it and buy the goddamn audiobooks. Buy them, lots of them, because I need lots more of them, and you know that justifies him writing more. So yeah.
Yeah. And thank you, Jay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for helping us eat.
Yes, because it's literally the castle thing.
I hope you guys are going to like the next book. Oops, spoilers, sorry.
That's what I like to hear. Yep. Because the testifiers, the way they are with them, like, oh yeah, he pulled up a fucking castle. And it's just like, that's the way that, I know I'm probably just sounding like I'm a lunatic here saying these kind of things because they're in jokes, but it's stuff that, imagine you are in this other world, you are fighting constantly, you're a warrior, you're doing all this kind of stuff with your mates, and your mates give you jip. They're constantly going, oh, yeah, oh, look, he's fucking done that again, hasn't he? Because they can't go, fuck, wow, Bob, you're an amazing warrior. They always go, Bob, do you remember when you dropped that mace on your foot? A bit shit, really, aren't you? Because that's how we all relate to each other. We all give each other a bit of friendly abuse.
Right, yeah. Your friends Raja.
Exactly. And the way that they react to him, it's just so, I like it because it's so much the way that my friends would do it with me. I mean, if I was Isaka off to another world and I had a bunch of these lunatics, bunch of you buggers out here, like fucking Paul, for example, and Jay, I'd never get any fucking peace. The amount of shit that would be going, I'd be like, look, I have saved the world. And they're going, yeah, but let's face it, you could have done it 10 minutes earlier. That was a bit shit. You know, if you'd pulled your finger out, you could have done that. Oh, well, you see, he was busy earlier. He was having a wank. I wasn't having a fucking wank. Oh, yeah, he's defensive. It'd be like that the entire time. I'd be like, well, I saved the world, but now everybody thinks I'm a wanker. And this is me just starting to drink, people. So, you know, hey. So I like to see. Are you coming to DragonCon this year, Nathan?
I'm not sure if I can swing it, but my wife and I have been talking about trying. Like, definitely no promises, but we can. We'd like to. We're just trying to figure out how to work that out. I guess she works full time, and I work full time with writing. And we keep having events where we schedule something, and then her work comes through, and we can't make it. So I don't want to promise to be like, "Hey guys, I'm coming to Dragon Con," and everyone gets all psyched, and then something happens at the last minute. But if it looks like we're 99% sure something won't happen at the last minute, then I will probably let you guys know with fireworks and flare and stunt guns. Why not?
I think you should. It's definitely good fun. We all got together last year. Well, a lot of us got together last year, and it's going to be a much bigger one this year, and it's going to be a very messy one. So, yeah.
Well,
so
yeah, I'd love to make it.
Just in case Chrissy is watching, which I'm sure she isn't, but just in case she is, it is all work. There is no drinking. I only ever drank when people bought me drinks.
Mm-hmm. It's networking. Yeah.
Serious.
Big time networking.
Yeah. And I remember the networking.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
Don't remember any of that shit. Sorry. Free cat. Fireworks, flares, and stun guns. Sounds like a Tuesday at Paul's house. It does, but we didn't mention being naked as well. Craig, I will let you buy me that drink set, and I will buy you a drink as well. Challenger's Call 1 with the deeds and renown was the part that really got me. Tears and everything.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And the fact that... Yeah, go on, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I guess I was going to say that it's weird because when I write scenes like that, when you first write it, you have what you feel, and then you have what you hope everyone else feels.
Mm-hmm.
And when that scene first came out, for a while, it wasn't the scenes people originally talked about. And so I was like, okay, well, at least I didn't screw it up and get a whole bunch of 1-star reviews. But and then I still wasn't aware of the impact. But then suddenly, like a year later, I get a whole bunch of people talking about the scene. And so I guess it's weird from the author's side is sometimes you don't know your impact. Sometimes you think you know a scene's impact. And then sometimes you find out like years later or dozens of people or hundreds or whatever, like, yeah, that was my favorite scene. And you're like, oh, okay, thank God.
Yeah. I think it's one of those that it resonates with certain people who've had that kind of crap. Really do. You fix it and that, and you go, yeah. And I mean, we all see different things because we're all it's soul current. Yeah, I like that. I do like that. We all like The Worthy, and yeah, it's a lot of your book. The reason I think that I like it so much is that it is all resonating with. It is all. You get a load of shit, and you do get shit on from a great height at times. And it's him just saying, look, let's just stand up. Let's just go again. Let's just take one more step, one more climb up the mountain or whatever it is. And it's dealing with that shit and being told that even though you're going through all this and you've had all this crap thrown at you about you're nothing, you're pathetic, you're useless and all this, and that little voice inside, you are worthy. And that is fucking brilliant. Write love on their arms. It's fucking great stuff, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's seen as resonated with fans, you didn't think that be that much of a hit or something truly memorable.
Oh, gosh. Do you want to take that one first? I'm honestly not sure.
No. Honestly, it's an awkward one, to be honest, Brian, because most of the scenes that I write that I get the people comment on are like the jokey stuff, like Bane calling Jax a murder hobo and like the stupid little jokes that are going on. Everybody said, oh, I love the way he's abusing him. And those are things that when I've been writing it, I've thrown on spar. There's no plan for it. It's just like, and then he does this. And when I come to read the book afterwards and I'm doing like a final pass through before it goes to the editors, a lot of the time I'm reading it and I have no memory of writing this shit. Because it's come in and it's gone out and it's just, there you go. And people ask you questions and they go, when you did this, did you mean? And you go, yes. Yes. Whatever you say, yes, I totally meant that. No, so it's strange. Yeah, because there's so many bits that you write that resonate with you at the time, but once it's out, and it's out of your brain and out your fingers.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely, yeah. Like you kind of pour it out, and it's this investment and now it's in an ebook or a piece of paper, and it's not really in you. Like sometimes they stick around, and sometimes you have memories. The other thing is that if you write something, if I write something and I have mixed thoughts about, it's very hard for me to actually commit it into a book. Like if I write something, I'm like, I really don't know how people are going to think about that. And I generally get feedback from other parties before I commit to putting it in. Especially now since this is work, and like you don't want to put something in that will, screw up work, and then you don't get paid or whatever. Not to go into the greedy, muddy, grubbing side. But now that I think about it, Cavus was really the main villain was really uncomfortable for me to write. It's like, this feels effective and good, but I don't know if I should keep this guy in. And then I heard people like, yeah, that was an awesome villain and all that stuff. It's like, okay, good, thank God. You're not calling the police also. That's great. Yeah. And I also wasn't expecting my narrator to take that performance to the next 15 levels with how he did that. That scared me, and I wrote the guy.
Fantastic. He did so well with that. I mean, the pair of them, you've got Chris Boucher and Jessica Threet, and they are magnificent for this. So audio all the way is brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
Because I was a massive fan of the series before you did the audio, and then listened to the audio, and I wasn't that fussed on getting the audio because I'd already read the books.
Right. Of course.
It was like, well, I'm really busy, and I don't really have time to listen to the audio, and it was like, I will make fucking time to listen to this audio. I will make the time because this is brilliant.
Yeah, gosh, they were so like I had high expectations because they've been just so good at other things I've heard them do, but I kind of feel honored by just how invested Chris and Jessica got into that. And they just did a really great. I gotta give Daniel a shout out too for doing Soul Ship. He and Jessica took that project on when I had no idea how to give any good directions or to get out of the way and let narrators do their work. Inspiration for naming. Some days I know exactly what I'm using and have a really detailed plan. It is almost that's almost Pig Latin. Yeah, I will use a lot of times. I will have a certain meaning, and a few times there'll be a meaning and theme behind the name I pick. Other times I go on the search engine and put good names for such and such, and then I pick one that I hate the least or like the most.
Yeah, I sort of sit there and I look around my room looking for inspiration around the office, and I'm like, look at all those books by people. I remember those. Okay, trying to think of a character from there. Nope, it's gone. Bob, fuck it, Bob. Yeah, some of the. I've got to admit, I am terrible with names. That is my weakest point. I mean, the amount of times I have nearly used the same character name.
It's hard to do.
Jax in the first series, and then in Prototype, Ajax.
Sound different enough.
And I wasn't even drunk. Hello, dear victims. What side character of yours most serves a spot on sitcoms? Dear victims, you are coming up as Facebook user, and yet I suspect Jenny. Jenny so much. Instinct is going. Jenny's there. Jenny's watching you. Jenny is judging you.
Oh gosh.
I don't even know what that was. I've just gone straight back and I was just thinking it was Jenny there. Can we have that comment again, please?
Jenny, is that you?
You are correct. Hey!
Hi, Jenny.
Can we have the question again? I missed on the question. I just thought it was your tone.
What side character of yours most deserves a spot on a sitcom? Like a romantic sitcom or a comedy sitcom or a comedy sitcom?
Bane and Gint. Just put those two together, set them off, and watch what the fuck goes on. That would just be terribly traumatizing.
Yeah, you could probably do a show with Regan and the Testifiers. Yeah, I think that sounds good. Porno sitcom. Oh, yeah. My other editor really wouldn't like that suggestion.
It'd be funny though.
Yeah. I think I'll have to pass on that though.
This is Paul. Paul is just sick and twisted. You just get used to that. He's sort of like the mascot, you know, the not quite bright one that we just keep around, just because, you know, we get paid from the community to keep him away from normal people. That's Paul. I'm fully expecting abuse. Yep. How do you pronounce Guinevere? Guinevere?
Yeah, Guinevere. Yeah, Guinevere. Like Guinevere she was meant to be a play on the word Guinevere because it was in Avalon, and she was the Avalonian satellite, and so I was going for a strong Arthurian theme.
I just couldn't remember it the other day from the actual series, and you know, I was thinking I can't spend this time because I know that if I listen to it enough to find her name, I want to listen to all of it, and it's like I haven't got time to put that much in. I just was curious about the name.
Yeah.
I have to admit that recently I did actually name a character in I think Age of Stone, or no, Age of Iron. I named a character a certain way just because I didn't know how to pronounce it, and I wanted to hear Neil pronounce it. Nynaeve. No. Neve. You know, N-I-M-A-H, and it was like Nymer. I couldn't remember.
It's going to wind up being something like Robert or something when you finally say it. And you're like, why? It's like, oh, it's a foreign name. Well, then why'd you use English letters like that for it? Like the name Win when it gets translated. Sorry. That's a soapbox for me. I'm going to stop.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Well, like Win is like, and yeah, I forgot I have a character named Win. And I was like, okay, so W-Y-N-N. No, it's N-G-Y-U-E something. I know, like.
You're like, no,
it's not.
Yeah, I shit her every day. Just generally, if I haven't abused a place in the world, mate, it's because I haven't had time. That's all. We love
a few Irish names I know are pretty awesome, actually. And yeah, that was actually one thing I wasn't sure is I wasn't sure how people would take Merida as whether they'd like her or not. And then I got a whole bunch, like a dozen emails demanding that I never let her die or something. So I was like, okay, the character worked.
Yeah. I love it because every so often people get in touch and they tell you things about your characters. And it's like there's one of my characters, one of my female characters called Kelly. And she seems to get the most hate out of anybody that I've written, including bad guys, because they're all adamant that, you know, a lot of people either love her or absolutely hate her. The people who hate her say she's not believable as a female character because she's too strong-willed. And she basically sort of goes, this isn't happening. You know, she's sort of the main character's love interest. And when they start getting it together and start going on, she's like, look, I want my own place. This is a condition here. You know, when we start sleeping together, I need my own place. And I wrote that way around because she's, you know, it's the apocalypse. Everything's going fucking wrong. And she does not want to just end up being a sex toy. She's like, I need my own space so that I can retreat to my space when things happen, or I can stay here if I want to, but let's have a bit of room. Let's have a bit of distance so we can see how the relationship builds. And you'd be surprised. I've got about 10 people that message me every so often saying that they've got problems with it. But what they say most frequently is they're not believable as a character. And Kelly is one of those characters that I based on a real person. They go,
of course.
This person exists, and you go, she does, and she'd kick your ass for saying that.
Yeah, it's weird when that happens. And like, I think I may have actually gone into an author's like, is that actually? It's like, no, this is from real life. This exact same thing happens. Like, okay, but yeah, like there's especially things with like how men and women react. I remember that coming out with the criticism I did get for Wes at the start was this weird mix of, oh, he's too whiny and blah 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 blah. Guy wouldn't really whine this much. This would never happen. And also, why is he even trying with all this terrible stuff happen? It was like he was too whiny and he keeps trying.
Yeah.
But I think I saw someone have a question about the mechanics or something. Did we miss that? Or did I miss
can't
that?
tell the stories too much for spoiler territory, but we didn't explain the progression systems for Soulship and Challenger's Call.
Oh yeah, that I can probably do pretty much. Well, Challenger's Call, if you haven't heard of the series, if you haven't read it, but Challenger's Call basically involves a guy combating a disability, a teenager combating a disability, well, 18-year-old teenager combating a disability that's ruining his life. And he uses this VR program to help. But one day, when he goes to sleep, he wakes up in a world that's like the VR game, only here you level up by overcoming obstacles in your life. And it can be like a monster terrorizing the community, or this evil magic that needs to be dispelled, or just working through some mental or social issue, or just overcoming a challenge of any kind. And when you overcome it, it's called rising, and that's their version of leveling. And some people rise and gain magic. Some people rise and explore different skills like swordsmanship, or just, I don't know, bureaucracy. It can be anything. But you also become more resistant to trauma and damage, and you gain something that works like hit points, and something that works like magic. And that as long as you keep going, you can recover. And there are different ways of, I guess that's probably a pretty good basis for it. There's like choices you make as you choose to grow, or as you choose to overcome challenges, that shapes your character and grants you new powers and abilities. So that's Challenger's Call. Soulship it's the cultivation genre, basically, and people draw from 3 different cultivation sources. You have people who can draw from Ki, which kind of works with the soul and the heart, and is kind of a middle range, and probably resembles stuff from a lot of cultivation novels. We'll say Cradle or 1,000 Li. You have Essence, which strengthens people's bodies, but doesn't give them a whole lot of magical powers beyond that, aside from bonding with beasts. And you have Mana, which strengthens their mind and also gives them most type of powers. I hope that's a good description. And some people have one or the other, and the character, of course, gains all 3, and he advances them in different ways.
It's really good. Jenny, I feel this
yes,
chat up
Jenny.
Person. I would just love you too. I know you're abusing me. For those who don't know, right, Jenny was one of my editors. She's a brilliant editor, but then she dared, the filthy animal that she is, she dared to take some time off from just editing to write.
Yeah, that sucked.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, she actually edited for me too. She was starting to make a name for herself in the business, and then she left us all to dry. That's why all our books seem like these sheer gibberish and garbage or something. And whenever you guys email one of us for a title, it's because Jenny.
Yeah.
Because she not only stopped editing, she would also sneak into our computers and insert them somehow through magic.
Yeah, because she's just evil. So just accept that, really. If anything is any problems with either of our books from this point on, or from the last couple of books, any problems are down to Jenny.
Yeah. Just go ahead and message her directly.
Yeah. Because if she had stayed and just done as she was goddamn supposed to and edited for us, then they would have been perfect. So we blame you entirely, Jenny. Don't love you anymore. We do. We still love you.
But it's very therapeutic to complain about this.
Totally. Yeah. See? That's right, Paul. God damn it, Jenny. God damn it. Now, I know that there was a couple of other comments about Challenger's Call there. And I sort of saw them popping up when we were talking, but I missed them. Can we are there any more comments on there that we can go through? Where are we? To the Legends bit for Challengers?
You mean like the sagas?
I think so, yeah. I do like the fact that because Wes is like the rest of us, he's a bit of a gamer and he's like, he doesn't want to just go, oh, well, this is the path that I can follow, or I could follow that path or that one. I will follow just this path. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm going to try that and that and that and this and that and that. And all the testifiers are basically sort of a group that testifies to what happened to things. They sort of think of historians, but as time goes on. So they're making the historical records as they go. And they're sort of going, oh, well, you know, this could be. He's like, this could be because of this. Yes, this could be it. And then Wes comes along and he just basically goes, I'm going to learn everything all at once. And I'm going to do it really ways that it shouldn't work. And it's going to work. And I'm going to kick everybody's ass. And they're just sort of going, that's not going to work. That's not, oh, for fuck's sake. Fuck's sake, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. With different arts. Like there's one guy that does it through, writing. And another guy's like, continues to do history through books. We also have people keeping history through music and song. And other people history through like paintings and shaping objects. So one shapes things to commemorate, one writes things down, and one composes songs. And they all hate their job.
Because they're all like, oh, well, you know, we used to be able to create, oh, yes, well, this, you know, something would happen like once every decade or whatever, and they would spend some time making a story about it, and oh, yes, it's wonderful. And with Wes, it's like, that's 3 times today. 3 times today, he's broken all the rules. And it just feels so real. I just love it. Honestly, this is one of my all-time favorite series because it's just so real, and I can just see, as you're reading it, you can see the look on their faces where they're going, for fuck's sake. So, yeah, if anybody hasn't read it, please do. It's definitely worth it.
Much appreciated. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy as much as Jez does. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Oh, God. But it's one of those things that it's just such, you need to read Challenger's Call if you don't. Yes, definitely. Sorry, I just saw some of the comments on there. I'm just having a look to see if there's anything interesting in the comments to share. But we hang out with Jez, of course, there's something wrong with us. Yes, there really is. You actually spend time with me out of choice. And those people who are here right now watching this, you don't like it, it's Jenny's fault. Everything is. This is great. From now on, we all have this wonderful excuse that it's all Jenny's fault, as long as he keeps his clothes on. I'm assuming that's aimed at me, John. And I do keep my clothes on generally. So, Nathan, you haven't been with us for a lot of these ones. The sort of general theme is that none of my neighbours, all of my neighbours have seen me naked quite frequently because I just don't give a shit about most things. So, you know, when you just go, I'll just nip out to the garage and get this, so I'll do that.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I can understand that.
Yeah. Well, not long ago, when we first moved in, our dog, early hours of the morning, decided that she wanted to, well, he at the time, wanted to go out for a wee. You know, early hours, you're like, oh, right. So you stumble downstairs, you open the door, let the dog out, and you're like, waiting for them. And you're almost totally asleep. And I look up, and there's a house directly across from us. And at the top of the house is one window that's lit, because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And there's this woman who's standing there doing her hair by the window, rather, and she's like, and at this point, I realize that I'm standing there in the doorway, back, swinging from side to side, naked. It's just sort of like, there's only one possible response here. She didn't take me away from that. She's like, and since then, I've just stressed them all. So all the neighbours now have learned, don't ever look at my windows because you'll see things you don't want to. Nathan, I'm getting secondhand anxiety. Do you have more beers?
I hate to trip you up, but that might have been the end of my beer, and I don't know if I have any more. So I'm just gonna have to be sober and alone with my own thoughts for the rest of this interview.
That's not good, mate. I mean, I'll drink it for you.
If that works, sure. Why not? Yeah. I'm not gonna go run to the fridge and check because that would mean I have a problem, and I don't have a problem.
Well, clearly the problem is that you have drinks there. That's the only problem. Oh, Dan, you're late. Yeah, Richie. Yeah, you should have been here earlier. Yeah, we've all been talking about you.
Right. Yeah. You missed the musical. Yeah.
That's just the thought of that. It was Jay and Paul were dancing and everything. It was fucking magic. It was magical. It's magical. Alcohol is technically a solution. It is technically. Yeah. I'm surprised you even waste time using a glass anymore. I have tried in the past to mix and match drinks without a glass, but it really doesn't work well if one of them's fizzy and one of them isn't, and you're just pouring it into your mouth. You can't get the right solution. You can't get the right mix. It's really depressing like that. So, anyway, Soul Ship. Where are we up to with Soul Ship? How many are we up to now with that one?
Book 6 dropped in December.
I knew it was recently, because I couldn't remember when it was off the top of my head, but I knew it was recently. And what are we up to with Challenger's Call? Are we up to 8?
Book 8 was launched around this time last year, and so I'm working on book 9. I went and did 2 Soul Ships.
Yeah. Just say so. We've got 8 out at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And you're working on Challenger's Call 9 now, which you've
That's
got on
correct. Yeah.
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 Magnificent, because I need that. Daddy needs it. Have you thought about doing karaoke at DC? No, I will be in. I'll be about. Jeff Hayes tried to get me to go and do stuff last year, and
Dragon Con. Okay, that makes way more sense than
Sorry, we're off to Washington DC. Fuck it, karaoke that way. Just keep going. Fuck it.
You guys here for a march or something? No, we're here to sing Macho Man.
Oh God, we could as well. Macho. I will say that I cannot sing to save my life. Jeff tries to get you to do butt stuff. Jeff Hayes is an animal. He's an animal, and he's great fun, but he's a fucking animal. So he's definitely throws some wild parties. Dragon Con last year, we were all so drunk that Jeff kept trying to talk us into something. It could have been anything. It could have been a book. It could have been group sex. It could have been to overthrow the monarchy or whatever. I have no idea. I just remember he kept trying to talk me into something, and I was so drunk I couldn't talk. So I was just sort of being led around by him going, and getting another drink. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Since you're in the latter stage of 2 series, have you felt the desire to write something new? If so, is there any particular trope in the genre that's pulling at your imagination? Brian asks such good questions.
Yeah. This is probably for me because Jeff seems to be. I'm gaining in series as a. I don't know. I'm getting comparison for fruit trees or something that doesn't work. But yes, I still really want to commit to finishing these series, but part of me is kind of ready to try something else at some point. It's just a question of the time, and just still balancing things here. I'd probably like to do some kind of apocalypse lit RPG book series, but I haven't put a single word down on that. That's just running in my head, and it may stay in my head or it may not. We'll see. But yeah, I'd love to write more. Period. Jess's speed kind of motivates me, and I used to have that speed back in the day when the kiddo was much smaller, which you know about too. I'm assuming.
4 and 2, yeah. 4 and 2. They're feral, but they're cute enough. I haven't gotten rid of them yet.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I haven't stabbed anybody this week, so it's
That's
going
fair.
well.
Yeah.
I view it as it's going well. Yeah. What about YMCA, Kyle?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I work at DC.
10 pints down, we'll have a go. He'll be the cameraman for it, any activities. Well, last year, there was a few of us went to a range with Aileron and went and just had a bit of a shoot load at random guns.
Okay.
So this year, we're going to have to do something. We'll all have to do something. Damn right, the feral, because of me. Whether that's go-karting, shooting again, doing something random, we'll arrange some kind of a do. Oh, excuse me.
The
kids have me up. Oh, well, you know, if they don't move fast enough. You know, hey, it'd be fun. Take turns and be like, okay, and the raffle ticket is number 17. Number 17, you get the first shot at anyone you want. The rest of us all racing around. Yeah, that could work. Or is that just me thinking about shooting random people?
Skydiving, yeah, sure.
Done it?
There are some indoor skydiving places around that I've seen.
I did a tandem jump a few years back, and the only thing I can definitely say is it is meant for smaller men, because I was nearly crippled.
Yikes.
Never doing that again. Never doing that again.
Yikes.
Hatchet throwing. Went
Yeah.
with Kev. Yeah. And Kev Sinclair and I went and we did hatchet throwing and threw fire axes as well because it's worth it. Trying to imagine Kev Sinclair on a go-kart. It's just the best Mario Kart image in my head. You'll meet Kev hopefully at Dragon Con if you come along. And Kev's about 6'7", 6'6". Massive bloke. Lovely, lovely guy, but he's massive. And him in a go-kart would be like Bowser. Fucking brilliant. I'd love to see it. Fight Club. Yeah, we can do a Fight Club. A few drinks down. Plus a 300-pound fat guy isn't the best. Well, you'll make a big hole, mate. It'll be fine. Now, who are you, Facebook user? I have no idea who you are. What's... As the Aussie turns up. The Australian arrives and we won't go. There he fucking is. That's Skyfalling, mate. Yep, and hello, Zach. That's Scott Reed. Hello, Scott. Right then, so what have we got any questions? Hey, Fight Club, let's go. Dude. What author inspired you to start writing? Yes, that's a brilliant one.
Oh.
Come on, Nathan.
Well, all of them. I think Lewis and Tolkien kind of got me into writing way back in high school, and I would just write short stories then, and I would try and get out some essays by writing short stories. And that worked once or twice, and with mixed impressions from teachers. They liked the stories, but some either thought it was great and really encouraged me to be an author, and others are like, you're driving your poor mother crazy having to write these 10-page stories instead of an essay. Why is this so much harder than writing a 4-page, easier than writing a 4-page essay for you? It's been forever since I've read his stories, but Brent Weeks was probably the one that showed me I can write the kind of stories I want to, with the themes I want to, without making the themes feel preachy, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, his stories didn't feel preachy to me at the time. I don't know if other people, but I liked them, and it just made me think, like, hey, this is great. I can do this too. This is allowed. I can be me. I can write the stories I want. And yeah, he'd probably be the biggest. Oh yeah, I just saw that. There are a lot of stories that I swear I'll see somebody else write a story, and this has happened probably 3 or 5 times where I was like, gosh, I wish I had beaten him to that idea. But I generally don't know if I could write in someone else's world building. I just kind of prefer to do that more myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I'd consider further down the road. But usually I just have too much trouble keeping my own current world straight. And writing in someone else's world would be an added level of pressure for me at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jez would feel about that.
Oh, no, I definitely, fair enough if you're building it like as you go with other people, but if it's something that's just, this is how it is, I couldn't do it. Because it's, do you mind? Random. Thank you. For me, with the way that the worlds work, because I don't plan, I'm a pantser. So I need to be able to build the world as I go, because I do it and I've got all these half-formed ideas that you bring together slowly until you get to this point and it's suddenly like, that's what it is. And all this way up to this point, things haven't felt quite right. And they're like, it's like you're trying to put a puzzle piece into a jigsaw. But rather than putting it in like that, you've been pushing it like that. And you're sort of pushing it all in, and you know that it doesn't quite fit. But, you can push it in there, and then suddenly this last piece drops into place, and everything just takes that quarter turn to the right, and it fits, and you go, that's why. And then you pick up speed, and you're straight off. And for me, that is because you can create the bits as you go, and all these little bits that have been in the back of your head that you've been playing with all this time suddenly link together in ways that you hadn't seen. Boom. Oh yeah. But it's wonderful. Where I do enjoy world building. I do like that side of it, but it's the stories. A lot of the time, you write the stories, and it doesn't feel like you're writing this story at all. You're just putting it down. You're just explaining it. It's something you're watching. It's something that's happened. Later on, I'm going to bake some muffins. Paul, I know you. That's either a euphemism and that's a big word for you, I know. But I don't want to know what you're actually going to do, Paul. I really don't. Because I'll be traumatized. I'm already traumatized by the mental image. Okay, more questions. Go on, you fuckers. Hey, John, if you could snap your fingers and have a book from one of your favorite series in your hands today, what would it be?
I feel like I knew the exact answer to this question 4 or 5 books ago, but then I read something else and it changed. If it's the series I'm writing, then the next one, because I want it to be done without any work. But not that I don't love writing it. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Gosh, there are a lot of great series. My problem is actually finding the time to read more books than actually, because there have been so many good authors just popping up.
Very much.
Point where I'm starting to feel old, I guess.
You're only as old as the person you feel.
That's true. Yeah, I just I remember the guys before me, and when I started writing, and I was thinking, yeah, I want to be there someday. And then once you kind of make it, in a sense, like everyone keeps moving forward, and then you feel new people with new ideas moving forward, and so many of them have great ideas and are writing good stories. And you hear about from your own readers, like, hey, you should really try out someone's book. Doors of Stone. It's a Terry Goodkin's book, right? I thought
no,
Terry something.
No.
Oh, Patrick Rothfuss. Yeah. You guys can hope for that. You have I wish you guys the best on that. Jez and I together have probably written more books in a single year than he had. Wait, he's only written like 3 books, hasn't he? Am I right? 3 or 4 books? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about another author, but I'm going to look at Jez and say, you see how fast someone can work when they want to write a story, when they actually want to finish a series or write a story. I mean, I wish you guys and him the best, but yeah.
You see, you're not exactly that far behind, Mr. 14 Books.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, both of us, it's weird thinking about those guys, and once you see how hard it is to actually write a book, in his case, I've become less understanding, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guy, you could have, yeah.
I think George R. R. Martin, for example, when he just hasn't finished that series, it's because he knows that once he's done that, it's like, well, what do I do now? So it's yeah, fucking cyberpunk.
Yeah. Well, the thing is also, like, there are guys that work 40 hours a week and go home to a family with 2 kids and still manage to get books out faster than those 2 guys. And they work hard on those books and they put the effort into cleaning those books up. But yeah, I should probably stop. The thing about those guys is when people start complaining, well, because of what I'm after Martin and Rothfuss, I'm never reading a series again unless it's been completed. And that's rough on a lot of guys that are just starting out and only have that one book that they worked hard out and really want to get out the next one, but they need the money to do it.
Yeah. It is aggravating. So a lot of people do say, oh, well, I'm not going to start it until it's a finished series. And it's like, well, all right. Because one of the advantages of Lit RPG, because we're writing primarily for ourselves, I mean, we're writing for our fans, of course we are.
Right.
Do you mind? But we're writing for ourselves. We're writing because we want to know the fucking story as well.
Yeah.
We're writing this and we're enjoying it. We love the story.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you're putting it all down. And people who say, oh, well, I won't read it until it's done. Well, all right. You can wait a couple of years because I know that I've got lots of plans for what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to finish any of my series for at least another year and a half, probably 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Was Challengers Call and Soul Ship planned to be as long as they are? Are they just so beloved that you continue to write in those worlds? Any lessons you learned from writing from such long-form stories?
Oh, that's a good question. Challenger's Call was supposed to wrap up in about 10 or 11 books. And it was supposed to be pretty much one book per world. And so I was thinking, like, okay, Woodlands wrapped up in one world, Central Seas basically wrapped up in one world. And then I got further out, and then I still wanted to keep things concise, but I felt that the Challenger's Call is the thing about it is that the actions have consequences. Mm-hmm. And that's usually said negatively, but the encouraging thing about that series, I guess, is like, the good actions have consequences too. You don't just save the princess and then Bowser kidnaps her next week and everything's gone. It's when he accomplishes something, it kind of puts roots down and has impact. And then the bad guys have to react to it too. And they can't just be like, yeah, whatever, we'll push a button and now he's back to square one with struggling. They have to go, no, it adds further complications. And because he doesn't want to just save things and then leave them broken, he wants to build off his successes. That's kind of important for Wes. And it's been a fun thing to explore, but it made the stories longer. Mm-hmm. And so now Challenger's Call is probably going to be about 13 to 15 books.
I approve.
So,
I'm totally fine with that.
Okay, great. Yeah. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, that kind of felt important and necessary. And it's been neat writing that character and writing the complications he has to go through too. I actually just finished a chapter on Chris with Patreon. But yeah, and Soul Ship I wrote. The Soul Ship was bouncing around in my head, and then the family got caught in a move to where we had to move out of state, but I still needed to write. And so I didn't feel I wanted to have a shorter series I could work on and get out in a sense, because Challenger's Call ranges from anywhere from 150K to 200K words. And I try to keep Soul Ship between around 100K or like 80 to 100K. And, but it wasn't Challenger's Call. I have a plan for it that I'm constantly tweaking and throwing out, but I had written a lot of the plan in my head about a year before I really had time to write it. So Soul Ship doesn't have at the end at sight. Like Challenger's Call, I have the final habits find out in my head. But Soul Ship's so much more broad open. I hope I answered your question. I feel like I rambled a lot there.
You can ramble all you like, dude. You're answering a lot of questions, so it's fine. We're here. Yeah, exactly. We're here to talk, though. That's the whole thing. It's not just to say, oh, well, let's just answer your question. It's also to talk about shit and to discuss why we do things and how. It's because the thing is that stories are really important to us. Not just because we're authors, but excuse me. Oh, sorry, the kids got us up ridiculously early this morning, and then it's been a long day. And getting the tattoo today as well. So obviously just So I keep having to pull this up. I'm not just trying to go, hey, look at my arm. It's because you've got to not touch it.
Fresh, basically. Yeah, you got to let it dry and whatnot.
You've got to leave it to sort of expose to the elements. The why, the how. Yeah, that's what's really important, because we're looking at these stories, and stories really connect us to people and to events, and to see what goes on in your mind, to read these things and to go, yeah, it makes me feel good. It's important. 2 hours sleep, so I know what you mean.
Oh, I hate that.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yep. That is a very, very important link, people. This is the first 3 in Challenges just for $14.99 for all 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Still make more money than I do from Audible from that, the way it cuts. So yeah, and the money goes to narrators as well. They agree to royalty share. So if you feel like Chris and Jessica really killed themselves in the performance, then that money goes straight to them too.
Yeah. I love that. I got the books originally on Audible, but yeah. So what do you actually play them through on your website?
BookFunnel.
Is there an app for it? BookFunnel.
BookFunnel, yeah, the app, you just download it. It works pretty straightforward. I actually checked it out because of another author who had to move away from Amazon, and he actually introduced Chris and Jessica, introduced us to each other. It was how I found Chris and Jessica. But and he actually runs the audiobook guild site that the books are available there as well. But yeah, BookFunnel, it's an app and it just works pretty much like Kindle except for audiobooks, or like Audible for audiobooks. And it competes pretty well. It does pretty much all the same things. So, and if you have issues, yeah, they get to it fast if there are any complications or issues.
I mean, I've got deals with Podium and with other audio publishers, so I'm tied in for the next quite a while, to be honest with you. But I have toyed with sort of doing these things myself as well. It was just, for me, it was simply a case of I didn't have the funds to be able to do it that way myself.
Right, absolutely.
So it was always handed off and, you know, just have it done by somebody else because I didn't have time to fuck about with it. For those that don't know, with us being like sort of, we all start out as a one man or one woman bands, and the admin that grows with each of the jobs. I mean, I'm incredibly fortunate that I have Geneva and Chrissy, obviously, but the admin that grows with each job. So, say each book that you bring out, it might only be like a 10-minute job once a week or every other week to address something that comes up, or, you know, a couple of minutes on Facebook to comment when people say, oh, why did you do this? Or how did you do that? And when you start getting to like 15, 20 books, that's now a full-time bloody job, just about, just in responding to people, because at the end of the day, we wrote these worlds because we want to talk to people. We want you to enjoy it. And when people ask us questions, we really like to sort of to say, hey, this is because, or hey, thanks for mentioning it, you know, thanks for recommending it. Just on that point, very, very quickly, Facebook, Faceache made some changes about a month ago in their back system and the algorithms. And every so often, if you tag us, we don't find out. I keep seeing sort of comments where people have said, like, oh, ask Jez about it. And you've tagged me, my name's been put on there, and I haven't got a notification at all.
That's scary. I wasn't aware of that. That could be happening to me too right now.
Yep. And so it's a case of, I used to try and react to all these kind of messages, and now I don't get those messages quite often. So it's a case of, if you do ever tag me, any of the us authors, and we don't respond, we're not being dicks. It's just literally because Facebook's fucking around and we genuinely want to know that you've messaged us.
Yeah. You guys give us money. We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That sounds way better in my head than it. But no, we like you guys invest in our world. You invest in our books. You make it possible for us to continue writing. We definitely.
You feed our kids.
It's
Yeah, it is getting a bit frustrating. However, on a separate note as well, I have recently found out that if you are, so Nathan, I don't know if you're doing it this way, if you have your books through Ingham Spark, which is, for those that don't know, Ingham Spark is like a warehouse and publishing, not publishing, sorry, I'm trying to think of the right word for it here, but they print the books.
Distribution.
A distribution house, that's it. Thank you. So basically, we pay them a small fee, they produce the books for us, and they hold them. They don't have them holding physically, they've just got the templates, they can print them at any time. A bit like Amazon can as well. The difference is, very, very recently, Walmart has started to stock these. Walmart online. So if you are registered with Ingham Spark and other distributors, then you have an ISBN, which is like an international identification number for your book. This means if you have done it this way around, that if people want to buy books, you can do it directly through Walmart. So it's still, you know, you're still buying our book, we're still getting paid, but if you can order it, I'll speak personally here, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but from my point of view, if you could order any paperbacks or hardbacks from Walmart rather than through my own website or through Amazon or anything else, that would be fantastically helpful, because the more books that are ordered through Walmart for Lit RPG, whether it's me or anybody else, the more they will see that this is an active and valuable genre, and the more they'll
that's a good point. Yeah.
you'd be amazed that, one person, I've heard this sort of before, people saying, oh, well, what difference does it make if it's just me that does that? Well, just me can make a hell of a difference, because just me that does it, and just you, and just your brother, and just whatever, if you buy them like this, you can massively tip the scales.
Yeah.
And it would be wonderful. We're getting into Barnes and Noble, we're getting into Waterstones in the UK, we're getting into all these international booksellers, we're getting into Costco, places like that, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But what is one of these weird places that they won't buy until there's a lot of demand for it. But when they do, they'll buy a fuckload. They'll be like, oh, we'll buy 50,000 copies then. And we'll just sort of go, we'll log in one morning and have like, beep, beep, beep. By the way, 50,000 copies sold, and we'll just go, and if you want to see me in a breakdown, that's how you do it, really.
Yeah. That'd be a party.
But yeah, who is it for the UK? For the UK, it is Waterstones. Waterstones do it, and some of these booksellers, right, do it on a discount. And they do that discount. So Waterstones does it every so often. They put them on. And I think it's usually book 1 and book 2 they put on. And they put it on for like a tenner. And that is cheaper than I can get the fucker printed. I don't know how they do it, but they're putting it on for a tenner. And I'm going, hey, please, people, buy it from fucking
Yeah. It's like that works so much better than trying to make a $20 or whatever work. Because there's so many distribution costs.
Definitely, because the way the books cost on Amazon, I mean, I won't go too far into this, but basically we put a book on there and we are told how much the minimum is for it, which is the print minimum. And they take their percentage before the costs are taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And this works out as a massive difference, because if they took their percentage after the costs are taken off, there'd be far more to share around us all.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, it ends up as we're putting a book on there and it's like $15 or $20.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for anybody else, but I make $1.
Yeah, same.
And I feel terrible
for
a $20 book. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous, because I would look at $20 and I'd go, I'm not paying that. And knowing that I'm getting $1 from it, it's like, because you look at it and you go, $20, you're taking the piss, that it'll cost $5 or whatever to produce, and you're trying to make $15 off me. And it's not, we're just literally going, Amazon's doing it, and actually we're making $1.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's
It is, but the money that we make from paperbacks and hardbacks is the least that we make, but it's also wonderful because we get to see our actual physical books out there in the real world. And you'll have it on your shelf. You'll show the people it. You'll lend it to other people. Every so often people mention it. I give copies of the books to the to local libraries. If you've got a library that gets in touch that wants copies, see, fucking there you go. If you have libraries that want copies, get them to get in touch. I will happily send them. And there's nothing like holding a fucking paperback, hardback, whatever that you've written yourself, and you get it, and you're like, this is weird.
It's an amazing feeling. Yeah. It's an amazing feeling.
It is very strange. So sorry, I've just ranted there for a little bit, guys.
No, it's it's hard not to talk about the frustrations of the business. Like, we both love it, and neither of us would be doing anything else. But
Waterstones, it's definitely a case of if they get enough orders, then they tend to put them on the desks and on the tables physically. And if we can get that going, that would be amazing. This is going to sound ridiculous, but for all of my life, I never thought of trying to write, because I always believed that was something that really intelligent people did, and I'm a bit thick. So there was no way that I would ever try and dare to write, because I failed school, I failed all that kind of stuff. So there's no way I could do this. And then I always loved audiobooks, loved them. And when I first got my first audiobooks on Audible, this is like, I'm still waiting for somebody to come, knock on the door, me open the door, and then go, "You're not a real author," and me go, "Shit, you figured it out," and scurry away. But to see our books on people's shelves, when you send us photos and go, "Hey, you bought this,"
it's great.
Going, fucking hell, it is insane. So, thank you all of you that do it. If you read If you read our books on Kindle, yeah, it's not less. That is wonderful. We actually get paid more if you read them on Kindle. So
Yeah,
thank you.
sometimes, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So however you do it, however you fucking do this, keep supporting us. Keep supporting authors. It's fucking wonderful. It is. And we do love you for it. So
absolutely.
What drove you to write Challenger's Call? Oh, good one, Kyle.
Oh yeah. My answer is probably gonna be a little bit similar to the beginning, but I think it was just reading a bunch of different lit RPGs and then realizing my love of reading could mix with my love of gaming because I did play a lot of games. But it always like that was my two favorite hobbies was books and video games growing up, and still is honestly. Not a very outdoorsy person, unfortunately, although that's good for my health. But I think I also just kind of remember for me, it feels like movies in the 80s where the guy was didn't have a lot of opportunities but had these skills and to go somewhere where the skills could be recognized.
Yeah.
And so I asked myself, what would it be like to write someone who's just not getting any of the recognition he deserves? It's like someone you can identify with and feel like, yeah, this is happening. A little bit of it's happened to me, or hopefully not a lot, but you can feel what he feels and be like, this sucks, and then feel the new opportunities as they come and how to keep them or fight for them.
Definitely, because there's always a feeling of, for myself, I can't speak for other people, but a bit of like paranoia that all these things are going wrong in your life. And are you paranoid, or are they really out to get you? Or is it just that you are just this unlucky and shit just keeps happening and there's nothing you can do about it? And at times for Wes, it feels like that there's just, no matter what he does, things are just stacked against him and he's just going to keep trying. And you can massively respect the way that he does that. And it's like, you haven't really got an option. And he's trying and trying and trying. And when things go wrong, you're like, because you can see that it's not just luck. It's not bad luck. It's fucking orchestrated. But you can see it, and you can definitely see the paranoia as well, though. The sort of, because we'd all be feeling that, You'd be going, oh, they're all out to get me. And then in the middle of the night, you'd be going, am I going mad? Am I losing this shit?
Yeah.
And yeah. I know I keep just going on about this, but buy those goddamn books, people. I need more of them, right? Just think of me. Sod me. Right? Don't think of him at all. Think of poor me, right? I need more of these books. And the only way I'm going to get them is if you all buy more of these books and spread the good word. So that fucker will keep writing them.
Appreciate the shout out. And yeah, every time you buy a book, Jez gets his wings.
Ding! The thought of me as an angel there. That wouldn't go down well for anybody. Just be like, I'm immortal. Wonder how much I can drink. What happens if I try and swim in this whiskey? Who has helped you the most on overcoming and writing? Don't know who you are, Facebook user, but approve.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know what Jez's answer is going to be, but it feels like experiencing writer's block has been very different than hearing about it. And I don't know, I've always seen people on TV stare in the distance and go on this long journey to figure out the writer's block. Or what was that movie, Stranger Than Fiction, was that called? With Will Ferrell in it and this, I don't know who else was, but he was like a tax auditor and realized he was a character in the story. Anyway, forget that. I don't know why that popped in. But I like the movie. But sometimes you just have to... there are certain editors that have helped me sometimes, and they'll just sit there and listen to me talk and occasionally ask a question. And that's helped. Probably what helps the most is getting a little bit of rest and like getting a meal in you if you've gone off schedule or whatever, and attend to your body's needs. Attend with your local needs, be it family or anything. And then after you're fresh and you sit back down again, figure out how your brain works. The other thing that's helped sometimes is just writing something, even if I don't agree with it. But as I start writing, it just fixes itself in a sense. And you start realizing, okay, now that my brain's gears start moving, okay, I can delete this and add this. I hope that answers the question.
I think it does. I mean, it's more of ways to deal with writer's block really than anybody in particular, like a
Right.
one individual that's helped you.
Yeah.
Writer's block I've found with when you're writing a story, sometimes you're writing it and it just doesn't feel right. Right.
Yeah.
Love it, Jay. Sometimes you're writing this story, and if you look at it as yeah, you're right there, dude.
Yeah, I'm fine. This imagery made me laugh until I cried.
So there's this straight road here, and this is your story. This is the perfect line for your story. And what you're doing generally as a writer, as we all learn, is doing this. You're hitting the road, you're crossing it, you're off on a fucking snowdrift, whatever. You're constantly back to forward. When you start to get in that groove, you are pretty much on this route. But sometimes when you have things happen, you have shit going on, you have problems with the story or problems around you, and you're trying to write this story, and instead of being here, you're here. And only half of you is actually on the right road, if you see what I'm coming from with this. And so say you're writing 5,000 words a day, 10,000 words, whatever it is, only 5,000 of that or 2,500 of that is going to actually stay, because you're going to come back to this later on. You're going to read this over and you're going to go, I know what I was trying to do. I know where I was going with the story.
Yeah.
Because a little bit further down the road, half a mile further on, you find that missing bit and click, you're back on the road. And suddenly you go, fuck, I know what I need to do to fix that bit now. And the best bit of advice I can give you is don't fix that shit. Because when you go back, you will fix that stuff, and then you'll come forward and you'll just keep trying to change things to get them back onto track. So instead, what you do is you have a second document open and you put in it, this is something I need to fix. Chapter 22 to chapter 24, fix this. This is why. This is it. Boom. Keep fucking going.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
You're on the road. Don't get off it. Don't go and edit. Don't go and do anything else. Just keep going until you finish the fucking book. And when you get to the far end, then you come back and you do a single pass through the book, or I do, and you go through and you've got this second document which is full of all these notes that you're going, I need to get that fucker in there. And you can just move through, and it's much quicker and easier. And it means that you feel the story more, and when the story feels right, it just flows. I know I've just ranted randomly.
No, that was probably one of the best descriptions I've heard. I was cracking up because I read Days' melon dick punch thing again. Wow, but no, I was 100% on board. There are a few times where the error would distract me, and so and if it was a quick fix, then I'd go back and fix it, and if it helps with the flow, it's very much like what you're talking about. That's a really great analogy for it, is getting on track and on path. I feel like.
I think if it's one quick thing, it's like a 10-minute fix or something. Yeah, totally. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's when you go, well, the last two chapters have been slightly off, so I'm going to need to tweak.
That's different.
This is 2 or 3 hours it might take me to fix that. You've just got to keep going, because Luke Chemlenko was a big help. How do you
pronounce his name?
Chemlenko. Yeah,
I've been wondering that for years.
It's probably not. It's just how I pronounce it. He'll actually pronounce it like, I'll go, like that. I've been telling people all my life, shit. But so I've been literally, when I was talking to Luke when I was first sort of starting to write, he said to me, edit your book until you hate it. And when you hate that book, yeet it out the fucking door. And it was sort of like, because the thing is that you can rewrite your book, because if you think that you might say you write 100,000 pages or 100,000 words or whatever the fuck it is, the first word is always going to be less. It's always going to be poorer than the last word, because when you get to the 100,000 of words, thank you, Jamie. You've written 100,000 more words. You have improved 1%, 10%, whatever it is. You've learned more about your craft. And so you look back at chapter 1 and you go, I could fix that. I could just improve this a little bit, because you've learned so much. You go back to chapter 1 and you start to rewrite it, and you can polish that up brilliantly. And then chapter 2 and then chapter 3, and you go all the way through and you get to the very end of it and you're in exactly the same position, because you're now another 100,000 down the road, and you can go right back to the beginning,
Yeah.
improve it all again, and yay!
Yep.
And you'll never ever publish.
Never.
Perfection is the enemy of the good, because you can,
Yes.
when you are ready, as Luke had said to me, when you hate your book, when you can't fucking stand looking at it anymore, you're like, just fuck off.
Yeah.
That's when you're ready. For me, I didn't get quite to the outrageous hatred stage, but I did get to the point where I was like, just go away. Just take it away from me now.
Yeah, I feel like I got there with Downfall and Rise. But yeah. And then there was this point where you can feel the urge to improve it even when you can't figure out what to change. And at some point, sometimes I feel like the improvements go in diminishing returns all the way to, if something goes wrong, negative returns. I guess maybe the original Star Wars movies where Lucas goes and changes something, if that's a horribly unfair example.
Hand fucking shot first.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Oh, Denny, my man, Denny.
How are you? Yeah. It's a disgrace.
To get another beer just in Denny's name. I mean, stay sober, Nathan. Yeah.
It's overrated. Don't do that shit. You don't want to stay sober. It's bad for you. I think that we should all collectively wind Denny up about this. And we were all talking about you, Denny. Oh, we were reaching out. You know, we wanted you to come on. We were going to put you on live. You know, tell him, come on, Tony, we're going to do all that. Yeah. From what you said so far, Nathan, it sounds like a lot of your influences were literary. In the genre, many authors came to it from a love of gaming. Is it true of yourself, and do you have any favorites?
Oh, yeah. I didn't really process that when people were asking other questions about influences, how gaming could count too, as ironic as that sounds, in game lit. But I actually, this is going to sound weird, and I understand if you don't believe me, but video games taught me how to read, actually. I read video games in 4 books, and they weren't even necessarily respectable video games. I don't know what you guys' feelings are on Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Totally different ones.
That one, like when I had to be like action, fight, heal, whatever, and I was enjoying the game because I was like 8 or whatever, or 7.
Yeah.
But to do anything into it, I had to know how to read at least a little bit. And that was kind of a tipping point for me. And then I started playing other games that had reading, like the other Final Fantasy series, Chrono Trigger, and I really enjoyed the stories in those games. And reading was necessary to do the tactics and stuff. I didn't get into so much of the first-person shooter games where it was just manual interactive. But the opening scene in Challenger's Call was pretty much a shout out to my days of back when I used to play WoW, way before the first expansion came out. I don't want to think about how long ago that was, but just where they would group together and take out the dragon. He was playing with Australia. Some of the names were fairly close to actual players I played with. And one of them actually messaged me because he was a real life friend. He was like, "You used my name in the book." Yes.
I had with Brightblade, a friend of mine that I worked with, that I'd given him a copy of the book, and he said, "Oh yes, I read it. It was really, really good, mate." Before it was published, it was bollocks. He hadn't read it. He'd probably tried a couple of pages and gone, "This shit," but I can't tell him that. And he'd basically gone, "Oh, great." And the reason I knew he hadn't read it was about 6 months or so ago. He randomly sent me a message out of the blue and said, "How many fucking Garys do you know?" And I was like, "I know a few Garys. Why?" And he's like, "Because there's a thanks in the beginning of this book to a Gary for reading your book. Is that me?" I was like, "Yes, it is." And it has taken you 3 fucking years to notice it. And he's like, no, I totally read it years ago. I totally read it. I was like, yeah. What you did with it.
Yes. It is a reference to that.
Nice.
Yes. I mean, no, it's not. Nobody can sue me. All of these are whatever the thing is. I heard them perform. some other author's book, and Chris especially. Well, Jessica's been amazing in just about every character. I don't think Jessica's ever voiced a character that didn't sound perfect or great. But the thing of Chris did a certain character once, and it was another character that was vaguely similar to Wes, like it was a completely different story, different things happening. But the character had to go through a growth arc of confidence and other things. And as I listened, I heard Chris kind of do that, just how the character, his voice changed as he grew more confident. And I thought, that's exactly what I want for Wes. But these guys are both so booked, I'll never get a chance to book them. And then out of the blue, one time I was like, hey, you haven't chose any narrators yet. You don't have any audiobooks. And I was like, yeah, I've just been too overwhelmed with the writing and the moving and just researching the issue. I heard a different thing every time. So where it felt like any decision I was thinking about could be a huge mistake. But the too long didn't read was like, yeah, I hadn't chosen them yet. And then he brought Chris into a chat and said, hey, Chris, here you go. And that was amazing. And they both committed to it, and they really invested in it. There are definitely people who I'm sure everybody's heard narrations here and there where it was kind of flat, and other narrators do other books that you can kind of like they're just reading the story. Yeah. But Chris and Jessica did anything but that. Like they got invested into the characters. They worked so hard on it. They put every effort into understanding it to get it right, and like they stayed in contact with me when needed, or they'd even reach out every now and then just to make sure they were getting it right. And I just wish, like if the books ever get made into a movie, I think I'll have high standards just because of how well they acted those books up.
Yeah,
and hopefully they'll be able to get to do many more.
Definitely. I mean, they've brought so much life to it. I mean, I'll be honest. The reason that I chose them originally for Age of Stone. And then that didn't work out because I was with Tantor, and Tantor was saying, like, we don't do duets, so we'll release you from your contract then if that's what you want to do, and you can go and do it with somebody else. And they then suggested that actually, what do you think of Neil Helliger's? And they sent me a sample from Neil, and I was like, actually, Neil is fantastic. I know Neil works brilliantly for this series. I would love to have Neil for it. Yeah, we'll have Neil do it. But it was also a case of I'd been in touch with Jess and Chris at this point, and it was like, I've talked to you and I want to work with you, and I will write another series just fucking for you because I want to work with you that much. And that was how Arise came about, because I had decided I would write this story for them, essentially, to narrate. But I first chose them as narrators from Challenger's Call.
Oh man, that's an honor.
No, that's where I heard them. I'd never heard them before because for me, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I don't do harem. Now, I know they've done some harem work, and a lot of other narrators have done, a lot of brilliant authors have done some amazing harem stuff. And Daniel Schoenhoffen's story's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's not a case of I'm going, oh, no, I don't believe in harem stuff. I disapprove of that. Fuck that shit. I love porn. Just for me, it's always been a case of if I want porn, I want porn. I don't want to go halfway here. I'm booting up the porn. Get out of the way, cat. But I do also believe that sex is, will you fuck off? Sex is a natural part of any story.
Yeah.
It's a natural part of our lives. And some people have commented and said, oh, well, I can't believe that you had these terrible events happen and then they go off and have sex. I was like, that's because those terrible events have happened and people are stressed to fuck and they want to feel close to somebody else. They need that release, and sex is a great release. And if you don't understand that, generally it means you haven't been in intensely stressful situations. Because I know when I have, afterwards if somebody says, do you fancy a bit? It's like, oh, that could just be me though. To be fair.
Well, I think, definitely everybody. That's the thing when it comes to sex scenes or other scenes, is that people react so differently to stress or grief or elated emotions.
Yeah.
And people tend to, having an alien girlfriend who has multiple bodies has definitely brought the harem question and arguments up. a lot.
Yeah.
It kind of originally meant to be, well, she'll treat her characters like a video game, was how I was originally going to go for it. And like they have their own. And I feel like, when you do different video games, you're kind of a little different in each video game. So it still works out. But yeah, and Chris and Jessica have also done some other lit RPG. There's this one other series, I think it's Evolve or something. I can't remember the name of it. But and they've done some progression cultivation stuff too, I think.
They're brilliant narrators.
Yeah.
Chris has said he's hoping to come out to Dragon Con, and he's trying to talk Jess into it. So if they can, that'll be great fun. Because I just want to get them drunk and see what happens. Because in Madrid last year, I met Steph. God, I can't remember Steph's surname. Stephanie. Oh God, that's going to bug the shit out of me. But Steph, you'll all meet her. And Steph does these amazing voices, and we got her very, very drunk. And you'd just hear this voice behind you, and you'd be like, "What the fuck is that?" And you'd turn around and be Steph, just fucking with you. So, yeah, so we're looking forward to getting her drunk at Dragon Con, because she's flying out as well. So there's quite a few of us coming, and it's going to be extremely messy. Sorry, I'm just continuing to get more alcohol. Stephanie Nemeth Parker. Yes, thank you, Geneva. Sorry, she just popped that up there. Stephanie Nemeth Parker. Lovely, lovely lass. Brilliant narration. Brilliant narration. Some of her voices are just scary. I wouldn't know anything about being drunk in Madrid. That's because you didn't sober up long enough to remember any of it. I remember it, Craig. I don't remember any of it. Yeah, so Madrid last year, we were there for a 20 Books to 50K conference, and it was the first time that a lot of us had met each other, so it was very good fun. So for those who don't know, right. So Nathan, I mean, we've talked about games, we've talked about your books, we've talked about stuff that you like, stuff that you don't. I'm assuming the French, because that's just a general thing that we all despise the French. You throw that one out there. Fuck the French.
If anyone's French in the comments, love you guys. It's part of my culture to make fun, but
yeah, I just like picking on everybody. I don't care.
Yeah, no, it's
I
fine.
use the Americans, the English, those bastard bloody Scots. The only people that I say I hate, and I actually mean a lot of it, is the Londoners. So don't worry about that. Anyway, what I was going to say before I went off on that little tangent, a little bit of craziness, is that we've talked about a lot about our books. We've talked about the things that we like, the games we like, and the things that inspired us. One of the whole reasons that we do this live is to talk about other people's books. So other people's books that we've read that we think that don't get enough attention, that don't get talked about enough.
Oh man, yeah. Gosh, I feel like I knew this better a couple years ago. I just kind of feel like I'm more out of touch now that I've been trying to write more.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go first?
No,
oh gosh,
it's funny to watch you squirm.
What was I?
For me, I would definitely say P.W. Tucker he's the guy that did Bastion. And Bastion appeared, made this great big fucking splash about a year or so ago. Brilliant book. And then it went, and obviously hasn't written another one in that series yet, as far as I know. But it's a brilliant bloody book. Now, he's written another one that's on Royal Road at the moment as P.W. Tucker. And I believe it launches in the next week or so, his next book. And I'm actually going to have a quick look and see if I can find it now on here, because I know it is coming out very soon. P.W. Tucker. Of course, my phone has projected that to P.E. Tucker, because that is the way these things are done. There's Bastion, Phil Tucker.
He wrote some other early lit RPGs too. He wrote this one series, Death March Rhapsody.
I hadn't read that one. I hadn't read some of his other stuff. He's got quite a few books out there. I haven't read the others yet. But what I did read was Dawn of the Void.
Oh, the Black Gates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I read the first of his Black Gates series and liked it. Then he wrote this Death March Rhapsody 3-book series, which I bought and started to read on a plane ride. But then my 2-year-old started acting up. But I mainly remember hearing people talk about that it was a great book series that needed more attention. But I guess it feels like some books get a reputation. We're like, oh, it's great if you really check it out. It's really underrepresented, and then for whatever unfortunate reason, it just stays that way. I could be wrong, and I could be just be the last person that found that out. Oh gosh, who
I mean,
else
for me,
was?
I'll be trying the rest of his series on, but this Dawn of the Void, I read it on Royal Road, and
Yeah,
it was fantastic. It comes out on the 13th, so it comes out on Monday,
okay.
and I would highly recommend getting that when it comes out. Pre-order it, buy it, do whatever you want, but definitely read it. I really enjoyed that one, so that's my recommendation this week, because it's one of those where you just want to keep just one more chapter, just read one more page just to see what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you find yourself going back to it. You know, you go to the loo or something, and your wife's knocking the door, going, "Are you all right in there? Have you fallen down the fucking toilet? You've been gone 20 minutes." I go, "Well, I've got another 20 left to go. Then I'm having a shit." Don't interrupt me, woman. I'm reading. I mean, doing things in the toilet. Quiet, I get.
Yeah. Gosh, what are the books that I've been? Because it's also weird because I haven't really had time to read the books I hear people talking about the most. Like, gosh, I don't even want to say it, but He Who Fights with Monsters and books some people have mentioned to me, like Randomly Ghost Town. These are books that I haven't tried. I want to try and get to, but I just haven't had time. And I understand a lot of other people have read them and enjoyed it. But now I'm trying to think of a underrepresented series, and I hate that I can't think of one. I hope that's because they're all getting the credit they deserve, but it's probably not.
Optimism. Oh.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yes.
Oh.
John, you know it. You know it.
Yeah. And for a while, what was her name? Sarah Lynn was writing good books and not getting the credit she deserved, and then her reviews are beating me. So she was the author of a New Game Minus, and then she wrote Street Cultivation, and now she's writing the Weir Key Chronicles series, which I just think of as the Soul Home series because that's the name of the first book. And it sounds better to me.
What was it
But
called?
Weir Key Chronicle series. Weir is like Weirkey, or just type Soul Home by Sarah Lynn. Lynn is Lin. Oh yeah, Ed White's name in it. That's how her name's written. But she's not. I mean, she's gotten a lot of credit, and she deserves it. She's writing great books.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. That's how it's spelled.
Yeah. All right.
But that was yeah. For a while, that series wasn't getting the attention it deserved, and then I noticed one day, and it's jumped by like 2,000 ratings, which is great. You know, it really helps when people leave reviews and ratings. It triggers algorithms. It helps new people find the books. You guys actually saved. Well, whoever reading Soul Ship, the last Soul Ship launched and immediately got a 3-star review somehow, despite only being out for a couple of hours. And if people hadn't jumped on and started leaving their own ratings and honest reviews, that would have probably killed the launch.
Yep, sounds good.
But yeah, so gosh, I'm trying to think of.
No, that's a really good point there. That every so often we do get people that sometimes it's people that just dislike us personally. And what they do is they wait until a book comes out and then they jump on and they leave a review. I mean, I've had audio audio reviews left that the book hasn't been up 20 minutes. And this is, you know, it's how the hell
really aggravating.
I know when I leave a review for people, sometimes it doesn't go live for a bloody week or later. So how the hell, you know, I've refreshed it going, oh,
right.
So that's, I'm looking to see the ratings to see if it's selling. And there's a review on there and it's a 1-star. And it's like, right, okay. And they'll reference things that are absolute bollocks. You know, nothing to do with the story whatsoever. One, I won't say who, but one guy actually got a 1-star review out the gate on his first book because it wasn't a packet of sausages, a specific brand of sausages.
Oh, I remember reading that. Gosh, that was ridiculous.
The author, the person who left the review wanted, and he couldn't find them. So he left a bad review on an author's first book because he thought he'd just stick it to Amazon. who don't give a fuck.
No, they could not care less.
Yeah.
They got your money when you did a KU subscription. Yeah.
Yeah. So please, people,
yeah.
always leave a review. If you like, if say you read a book and you like it, but you haven't got time to leave a review, and we totally fucking understand that. We're exactly the same. We have our lives. Exactly. Yeah. What is this one? Yeah. Those weirdo authors are English. How dare they spell correctly? And but there's always reviews that are left that are positive or negative, and you can mark those as helpful or not if you disagree with it. And some of those, when you see them and it's blatantly bollocks, and it's I don't like this because I was looking for a brand of sausages. Please mark those as unhelpful.
Those I think you can actually report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem is that 9 times out of 10, it's not a human on the other end of it. It doesn't get through to anybody, so Amazon just leaves that review up there. But if a lot of people report it going, this isn't right, this is bullshit, it does get taken down, and it massively helps us when random shit like that happens. So if you don't have time to leave a review, please just a rating, share it, do just mark a good review helpful. It would be massively appreciated.
Yes.
And yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Gosh.
The worst part is that some of the people that leave reviews, I won't name names. There are a couple of people out there that believe that they, Johnny, are reviewers, and that to be a reviewer, what you have to do is be really, really harsh as a critic. And that's bollocks, because a lot of the bigger the bigger guys will never ever read the reviews whatsoever. But a lot of the smaller guys, your review, if it's really harsh, will bury them. They won't write they won't write another one. They won't bother with it because they haven't had the time to develop a thick skin, because they haven't had 100 good reviews and then a really shitty review, and they go, well, maybe this guy just doesn't get it, and maybe he doesn't like it, and it's not for him. That's fine, but a lot of people do like it. If you just hammer somebody with bad reviews, all you get is people going, I'm not going to write anymore.
Takes a real hammer to your brain.
Yeah. Fortunately, I'm a bastard, so I'll just keep writing regardless. But some people that do leave these reviews are very, very rude and aggressive. And you think, I would genuinely, last year at Dragon Con, there was a thing that we went to, which is Medieval Times, right? Had a great time, really good fun. Now, this is going to be on again this year, so if you do come to Dragon Con, Medieval Times, there'll be a load of authors there, we'll all be drunk. Come and just join us all. I really, really, because with being from the UK, I've never heard of Medieval Times before. And I knew that there was knights, and that you all got round basically this big pit, and there was lots of fighting. And so my understanding of this was, I can pick a fight with a knight. And I was genuinely thinking, all right, I'll have a knight. I'll have a go. I'll get in there. I'll get in the ring, and I'll have a go at this. Because I've been watching these, the Russians primarily, but there's around the rest of the world where they dress up in full combat, like rig, full like suit of armor.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
And it's brilliant. I've been trying to get into one of those. There's one up like about 50 or 60 miles away from me. I've been trying to get in, but they just basically keep telling me no for some reason. Channel Dinnerman, yes, get a suit made of all the bad reviews. That's brilliant. But basically, I honestly was thinking, well, if I can fight a knight, I wonder if we can get the reviewers in there. Because I would love to get in the ring with some of these fuckers and just be like, come on in, son. You're happy to say it behind me back. You're happy to say it behind a computer screen. Come and say that in front of me. Come on. I
combat range, sucker.
Bad reviews now, but yeah, fuck it. I think it would be brilliant if we could actually fight the knights though at Medieval Times. I would sign up for that every goddamn year. So like, come on, who wants to have a fight with them? I'll have a go. 10 pints down. I'm jumping in. I don't need a horse. I don't need ladders to get down there. I'll just chuck myself over the side. Watch me fall. Be fine.
Oh, honestly. My American insurance policies. Oh.
Yeah, all right, man. In the reviewers, go on, pick up your keyboard. That's your weapon. Yes. And look at my mace. Let's see how your keyboard works. I would love that with a passion. I think any author really would. There's times that we would just love to get one particular reviewer and have quiet words behind the dumpster. Yeah. And put them in the
Where are
dumpster
your
after.
5 paragraphs now?
Yeah. I think the best reviews that you get like those are clearly doesn't know how to type. And it's like every single word in there has a typo in it.
Typo.
And you just read it and you go on. Some of them are brilliant. I have got to say, and I will say with hand on heart, some of my bad reviews have been incredibly helpful. And as much as I've been just saying about, you bastards type of thing, leave me bad reviews. No, some of them have been incredibly helpful because they've been genuine reviews. And they have been, actually, I didn't like it because of this, and this could get better, this could get worse, this could do. That's what I was talking about there, John. They said, no, they want me going and picking fights with people. But I did message them just saying, can I come and fight somebody in your ring? And they were like, no. Weirdo, go away. Maybe I should have phrased it better. Like, can I just come and hit people? Go on. It'll be great. It'll be fun. Next, I'll actually reread the messages I sent to them. I really should try and do it sober. But some of those reviews were genuinely helpful. And they were bad reviews. They were. But they said things that were saying, this could be good if this. This is a problem here. This is great. This is bad. And it's like
constructive criticism.
Okay, yeah, totally. They really helped me. They genuinely did help me. One guy left a very scathing review, not nastily, but say like picking my first book, Bright Blade apart, and was like, "Look, this is fan fiction. Basically, it's the imagination is good, but the story just the way it's written, it's crap. If you buy this, just be aware you're wasting your money." And when I redid and relaunched Bright Blade as part of the omnibus, that same fan left a new review saying everything that I said before has been addressed. This is a fucking brilliant book, and I really love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That meant so much to me to be able to. I mean, it wasn't a case of I was reading their review going, "I'll fix that, right? You fucker. I'm going to fix everything just for you." This is I'd learned and I'd redone things, but those reviews were really important, and it helped me. Craig, thank you, and I will see you when we see you next. We'll see you at DragonCon. We'll see you at DragonCon, and we'll get together again there. He's a really nice guy, Craig. But yeah. So as much as I rant sometimes about reviews that people leave, I'm not saying, hey, don't you dare leave a bad review. I'm saying don't leave a shitty review. Don't leave, I'm having a bad day, so I'm going to leave a review for somebody that's shitty to pass it on. Don't leave a review which goes, this is crap because, I wanted a packet of sausages. Leave a review if you don't agree with the book. I mean, ideally, don't review it if you don't like it, because it really does damage it. But if you do want to leave a review by all means. It's your right. But be honest about it and be helpful.
Yeah.
Because some of the reviews that we get left, and I get typos sort of highlighted every so often, and some of the typos that are highlighted, I read it and I go, oh God, I can't believe that got through.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
You've changed the word, and like autocorrect or whatever has picked it up, and that's changed this word from decimate to determinate or something. And you're like, what the fuck? You've read this through a couple of times when you've done it, and now you read it and somebody else has picked this up and you're going, I can't believe that got through. Oh God, how stupid do I look? And other times people leave you reviews going, the word you're looking for is this. And you go, no, it isn't. The word I use is the exact word that I used there. You just don't know what it is because you've never used that word before. So
because you don't realize that I said what I said.
Fuck you. So anyway, as usual, I've gotten to this point of the conversation. I'm just ranting about goddamn reviewers. Fucking bastards. I do it every so often. I'm sorry, guys. Probably nobody watching now. They're all like, oh,
I don't blame him. Yeah, I don't blame him. I think of some of my old reviews like, and gosh, just stay away from Goodreads. Remember someone called Downfall and Rise Christian torture porn. That still sticks in my head. It's like, what is your problem? What is wrong with you? You're just saying that because you need Jesus.
What a lovely way to put it. I would have just gone, you're just saying that because you're a twat. Yeah, we're very, very different in some regards, I will admit. I like to hit people and ask questions never. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything else you want to go over?
Oh, did we get everybody's questions? Or
I think we got a lot of questions. I mean, is there any questions left? Does anybody want to ask us any questions?
Did I miss anything? Did I go over anyone's questions? You saw that review, so you hate that guy too now, right? Whoever he is.
Yep.
I could co-write a series with another author, and who would you dream of writing alongside? Oh man, Jez, you haven't co-written any books yet, have you? Okay.
No. I know. I've got. The thing is that I'm in a group with some other authors, and we're all close friends. So I think it would be problematic writing together because you end up falling out. I do see that as a bit of a problem, but also it's a case of some of the people that you're friends with. I seem to pick. I got on really well with people who are very like me, and people who are absolutely nothing like me, rather than sort of the middle ground. So I have friends that are the absolute antithesis of me, and friends who are very much like me and just like alcohol and dancing ladies. And Harmon is cool. Yeah. I don't know who I would write with, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I did, when we were talking about writing in other people's worlds before, I really like The Land by Alaron Kong, the Chaos Seed series. I really like the way the world is, because there's so much potential there to be able to grow and to do.
There is a lot of potential there. He does. He nails that.
Yeah, but then equally, I don't know if I could bring myself to write in somebody else's world or with somebody else, because I'm me and I'm a dick at times. So
I gotta admit, I'm guilty of that here too. Sometimes have some stubborn matches with the occasional editor. There are authors who I write their books, and because who I read their books, and their styles are different than mine and exactly what I'm looking for in that moment. And I think, man, it would be great to write like that and write a book with them. But I don't know how practical it would be. Like some other author put it, writing a book is hard. Writing a book with someone else is even harder. And, it can be done. There have been some great books that have been written by multiple authors. If it's something I can do myself, I don't know yet. And I don't know if I have time either.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's it.
Some authors, like Peter F. Hamilton, for example, the worlds he creates, the technology, the solid characters are things of marvel. I absolutely love them. But he doesn't have the humor in those. He really misses out on a lot of stupid humor, which I think would lift it. But then that's because I have really stupid sense of humor. So anyone who's read my books knows I'm fucking crazy at the best of times. So I would really love to see more stupid humor with somebody like Peter F. Hamilton. So it's a really serious, deep, intellectual science fiction story, and then just some real stupidity of just a couple of guys having a bit of banter in the middle of it all. I'd love it. That's just me. Yeah. And then there was silence. Any other questions, guys? Silence.
Still some star comments. I know. We'll get to see that larger universe in Challenger's Call or subsequent series. That's I don't know yet. Maybe it's a plot point that's not immediately on the nose, but it's one I care about. And so I think it would also depend on how the rest of the plot goes and how much interest people have. I've had some fans that mentioned, and I've entertained the idea of sort of the next stage of, okay, now everything's taken care of, what happens? And I think it would have to gauge interest at that point. I don't know if you ever get that, Jazz, where you think of, well, what about the main character? You get a fan that's like, well, what about later down the road where the character's kids or something? And I've seen authors try that. I haven't made a decision about that myself. And,
I think at some point, I think it's better to leave some questions and some instances out
Yes.
there unresolved
Also true.
for people
Yeah.
to do their own, and because then people will want to have more. Did you ever read Terry Goodkind?
Wizard's First Rule?
Yes.
Okay.
The first 3 or 4 books, brilliant. The next 3 or 4
books,
not bad. Not bad. The next couple of books, it was kind of like, I have no idea where I'm going with this. I'm just going to keep going. And by the end, I never read the last books because I got to the point where the later books were just completely arguing and contradicting the earlier books. And there was no, I had no clue what was going on in the story anymore, and I just didn't care. And that's the risk you run with going too far with Unchained, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that there is that risk. I know I'm definitely at risk of doing that with the way that my stories go as well, because I don't plan. I just party essentially and go.
Yeah.
But that is one of my great fears, is that I'll end up doing something like that.
Yeah. But I will probably kill the bad guys everybody really wants me to kill.
Oh yeah, you've got to kill those fuckers. Yeah. And your 3D creations.
And what would you want to... Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, I forged my Naginata, and
that was awesome.
That was great fun to do. That was really good fun. I've actually got some 3D art. We've got 3D art that's done. We've got 3D art that's being turned into miniatures. Now, we did say a while ago that hopefully we'd have that out by summer. Unfortunately, the digital side of things was massively more complicated than we anticipated. And the people that we paid to do it, unfortunately, they were in Ukraine. So they're kind of a bit busy with things that are going on. So fuck you. Yeah. So it means that things ended up getting moved and moved and moved. And we are trying to get the 3D printed characters done so that people can buy them, or hey, maybe in the end we'll just give out the STL files and do what you want with them. We don't know yet, but it would be cool to have more of those. We are hoping to do that, and things like a Naginata letter opener, coins, that kind of thing, because it's cool little bits of merch that it's really good fun to have. So
yeah.
They're in progress on my side. How about you, Nathan?
Yeah. I haven't really thought of anything beyond T-shirts and maybe some more character art. But actually, I think I had a brother-in-law that offered to make some coins. He was getting into like some wood carving and laser thing, which I thought was really cool. And I really like the coins he made. I just been dragging behind and all that type of administrative stuff. So, but yeah, T-shirts, more character art. I think it would be cool to do art of. We've got Wes's pictures on the covers, but it'd be interesting to do Stell sometime with or different satellites. Which I guess I do now with Vesa. Technically, I've had most of her beacons. Oh, that sounds a little bit too similar. Anyway, yeah, T-shirts. Yeah, I haven't put much thought into it though.
No, I think
I'm
it's
not really
definitely
a collectible guy, unfortunately. Like, I just like to read the book, but I usually don't get
all the extras.
Yeah.
Well, to each their own. So, guys, is there any last questions for us before we go? Anybody got anything last that you want to chuck out there? A friend of mine is a tailor. I'm trying to get her to make outfits, uniforms of my characters.
Yeah.
That is cool.
That is cool.
Definitely, Brian, you should do that. That is cool. Dragon Con last year, I saw loads of people, because obviously people dress up as all sorts. Loads of people that were dressed as Galaxy Quest.
Oh, man.
And it was just like, what
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy
out of nowhere, just everybody. Wow. How random.
They were just like walking past all the time. I was like,
never give up, never surrender.
Yeah, brilliant. Some of the outfits people were wearing was great. Really were. Yeah. So anyway, guys, we've been on for nearly 2 hours again. I mean, these were planned to always be about an hour, thereabouts, maybe. Most of them are an hour and a half to 2 hours. We try to keep it under 2 hours just because you guys are going to be getting bored. And it's like, by God, Thor's hammer. Fuck. It's been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure, Brian. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us again, for sticking through me talking shit and Nathan's brilliant answers.
Blast. Yeah.
My stupid questions.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Chris and
joining
Jessica, Scott Reed.
Okay.
Yeah, I just used Chris and Jessica. They were too perfect as narrators. I wouldn't trust anyone else. We might give Jessica some leeway for being all the different versions of Stella at once, but I'm not sure. Actually, that would be hard to do. Yeah, you'd probably need like 7 or 8 different actresses for Stella.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Yeah. I mean, people say things like, you know, what would you do if Netflix came to you and asked you to, said that they wanted to make your book into a film, but they were going to change everything? How would you feel about that? And I would cry in my fucking Porsche. Wiping my eyes with like $50 notes. Like, it's terrible. Look you all. No, I mean, I would want it to be stuck to the right.
Yeah. One guy put it great. He's like, if we can get if they do that, you get a whole bunch of people talking about how the book was better, and then they all buy your book.
Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kyle. And I would need 50 actresses. Damn right I would, Scotty. Damn right I would. Did you mean to do something else, or just for me? It's 50 actresses. Yes. I need 50 actresses. Don't know what that was about, but I do need them. Anyway, well, thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you too.
Thanks for showing up. Thanks for joining us. Everybody that's asked us questions, that's joined in, that's thrown us some abuse. Not Denny, because he didn't turn up, that fucker. I think we should all give him some abuse. But yeah, thank you all, guys. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully have a great rest of the day, and we all catch up again soon.
Yeah.
So and we will totally blame Jenny for this as well.
15 mattresses. I do need a new mattress, actually. Yeah, I could use a new mattress.
Thank you, guys. Good night.